Armageddon, and you never beat me 100 times in a row. And if I just gave up, he wouldn't be the player he is now. And he is a really good player. He plays Scorpion, he plays Sonya, he plays all these good players, and he could beat me with all these players, like pretty consistently. And I'm just like, dude, like it amazes me. Like I seen you level up right before my eyes, and you showed me that you should play someone as good as you or not even better than you, just so you can level up like a lot more, and he's one of those guys that just he's amazing now. He's a great player. And I have tournaments in my garage sometimes, and I'll invite friends over there. Some are not as good as they are, but we'll put some money and have fun, order a pizza. And he's always up there in like the top, one of the top players, because he's just so good. He always plays me. He gets so much damn experience. I'm like, you got to come to a tournament with me. And he told me, he's like, if you go to SoCal Regionals, I'll go. And I was like, all right, cool. And so yeah, I'm deciding if I want to go to SoCal Regionals. And
gotta go.
You gotta go, man. Go.
I know, it's just
go play 16-bit.
I know. I do want to play him in casuals. In tournament, I do want to play him. I want to see how, because like I don't want to sound too cocky or anything, but in Chicago, I wasn't having too much of a difficult time beating you. I want to see how much he's leveled up and stuff, because it's been I haven't played him since, so I'm expecting to see how how much better he's gotten. It'd be fun. I want to play Katana. She's like one of the fucking best, and it's so annoying. So I want to see how it is. It'll be fun.
Well,
yeah,
I'll say this: 16-bit is probably the best Katana I've faced.
Wow, sweet. That'll be fun.
Yeah, he's really cheap.
It's true. It's all her.
I mean, cheap's good. Like a lot of people say cheap, but really, like when I see something, well, I don't want to say cheap, but when I see something that people claim is cheap, I just see it as basically like something I have to work at, and like because I have one of my friends, he hates fighting games, but he plays them because all of us play fighting games. So the way he sees fighting games is different than the way we see fighting games. If he sees something, he will never adjust, like, because he's not used to fighting games. He'll never adjust. He'll just keep calling that move cheap, and he'll keep doing the same thing, and he'll keep falling for the same thing, and he'll just keep calling it cheap. And I'm like, dude, you got to adjust. But he doesn't want to take the time in a fighting game because he doesn't really care about it. But he'll just keep calling that move cheap, and I'm like, dude, you got to understand, when you see something that's cheap, that person's going to keep using it against you because they're seeing that it's dominating you. What you got to do is, come up with a different strategy. Don't keep using the same thing, or they're gonna, figure out what you're doing and just, punish you for it. And, he never understands it because he doesn't really understand fighting games too much, so he doesn't know, come up with a different strategy or something. He just keeps doing the same thing, and if you keep doing the same thing, it's like, he'll be like, oh, that's cheap. And I'm just like, you got to see it as something you got to work your way over or something, and just people, when they say that, like, oh, that's cheap, it's just, to me, it's an easy way for them to not admit that they don't know how to get around it. And it's just an easy way for them to have an excuse to tell. They don't want to tell you, oh, you're beating me because you're good and you're using this strategy. You're just beating me because this move is good, not you. And it's just one of those things that it's like, people just don't like to admit that the player is good. They just want to admit that something is, like, you exploited something, or that's just not right. And it's like, no, and it's amazing. That's why it's fun watching high-level players, because they know, okay, they're exploiting everything there is to exploit in the game. Like, anything that's cheap, they're going to use it if it's to their advantage. And when two people are using stuff to their advantage and the other person knows how to get around it, it's just such a crazy, like, thing to watch. Just people like, okay, he knows how to get around this. Oh, but he's getting hit by this a lot. Oh, but he figures something. It's just crazy. It's amazing to watch that.
Dude, one thing, like, I'm gonna get kind of dorky and kind of deep here, but like the one thing that fighting games has taught me is, like, you have control of everything. Like, I used to go through life thinking like life is just random, and opportunity comes at random. You just kind of handle it. But like playing fighting games, playing fighting games made me smarter. Like, I understood, like, oh my god, there's actually something I can do about this bullshit. Like, this move was blowing me up before, and like through the engines of the game and through the properties of the game, I can actually not only figure out a way to not get hit by that move, but actually blow it up. And like, it's just, that's what it's all about. Like, that's what makes Mortal Kombat 9 really good, because on paper, there's so many matchups where it's not you shouldn't win. Like you shouldn't be able to win so many matchups, but just I don't know how to describe it, but it's like there is always a way to beat something. Nothing is that cheap.
Yeah, that's what I want to get into. Like, nothing is something. I would never say something's cheap unless it's actually cheap. Like, there's a character that has a beam that covers the whole screen. It's like one frame on startup, and then it's like active the whole time, and it's like a giant beam. It goes across the screen. It's unblockable, and it's one hit kill. That I would be like, that's cheap because there's no way around it. But if there's something if there's a way around something, it's not cheap. It's just you just got to find a way around it.
Yeah, it's funny. Like with my brother, like me and him talk, like once a week or so, and he knows I play Mortal Kombat and shit, and he knows I've mentioned 16-bit before. I'm like, yeah, I went to Springfield and played this bullshit ass katana, and and he'll be like, what's wrong? I'm like, it's just a really hard match, and that character's really cheap, and he'll be like, why don't you pick a character that beats her? I'm like, I can, but I want to know how to beat it with the tools I've got. For me to understand how to beat that character with just this short amount of tools that I have, with just the fundamental tools, makes me 1,000 times better, as opposed to just going to a character that just blows that other character up.
Yeah, like what you just said right now. Online, when I play online, you tend to get counterpicked a lot online. Luckily, there's that hidden cursor thing, but I usually just pick my character, and when I see the person just counterpicking, I usually online I counterpick myself just to learn the matchup, because online isn't serious to me, even though some people take it serious. To me, it's not serious, so I'm like, I want to counterpick myself to learn that matchup. I don't want to be here counterpicking you, and then when I go to a tournament, I have to stick with that character, and then I just get counterpicked, and then I'm fucked. I want to already be counterpicked online, so when I go to a tournament, I know how to deal with that.
Right. Learning the matchups that's what makes it fun.
Yeah, it is. It does.
Like when you're the underdog, and like if a Johnny Cage beats a katana, that's fucking crazy, or beats Kabal or something. I mean, that's epic. I mean, people want to see that. People want to see that type of shit. I mean, that's
it's crazy. That's where you get the most crowd reaction, when you're the underdog and people, as a character or as a player, when you're that underdog and the crowd's watching and they expect the other person to win, but then you get the most unexpected thing. That's when tournaments are the greatest. Like, it's just like, holy shit, what the hell just happened?
People base too much emphasis on balance in fighting games, and I agree, balance is a big issue. And there never needs to be like 2-3 characters that are just destroying everyone's, like MVC2. I mean that's a clear example. But at the same time, like, unbalanced is good because you get those types of situations where the impossible happens, and it's just so high.
Player that likes like a low tier character or something, and they pick that character, and they're like, they dominate with them, and you're just like. That's what out of fighting games, that's one of the things I like seeing the most, is when someone doesn't pick, a high tier character just because he's high tier. Either you pick a high tier character because you like that character, or you pick the low tier character. When someone likes a character, it's different than just picking that character because you want to win with him. When someone picks like a character and is like considered low tier or whatever, and they really put the time into that character, they don't just pick him because they're like, oh, he's considered low tier because I'm just gonna pick him and dominate with him and be cool. Like, no, they pick him because they really like the character and they want to see that character shine. When you first see that strategy, like CD Junior showed me at Summer Jam, everyone was saying, oh, Jax low tier, and CD Junior still played with him, and then showed me what Jax can do. Like, he showed how you should what strategy you should use with him, and it was just like, dude, you're making this character look amazing right now that no one ever made him look, because they just picked him up for like 5 minutes and then dropped him because they're like, well, I don't know how to play with him, he's low tier. And he still stuck with them, and it was like a great thing to see Jax actually being played like awesome. And that's one thing I like about fighting games, is when you see like a character not really used. And that's why I pick characters that are not really used, is because I like, seeing a certain character that's not really shown